Hey guys, welcome back to Code Your Trade. In today's video, we'll start coding the strategy we talked about in the last video. If you haven't seen that yet, you can click the link in the top right to check it out. That being said, let's get started. To make the coding process simpler and easier to follow, I've outlined the steps we'll take to approach the problem. We first start by logging into our Finvasia account and get session token and initialize global API. Then we download CSV FNO contracts from Finvasia link. Now, throughout this video, I'll be referring Finvasia's Python documentation. To get that, let's open a new tab and type Finvasia Python documentation. Let's go ahead and open this first GitHub link. Now this is a documentation which shows what are the methods available in this library. Let's go to script masters and here we can see different zip files, and this zip files contain CSV file of all the contracts. Suppose we want NFO contracts, we can download NFO zip file and extract, and we can get all the details like trading symbol and the tokens and much more. After we download the file, we'll get strikes and get symbol. Again, I'll explain what does this mean and why we need this further in the video. Finally, we'll get tokens and subscribe these tokens to Websocket. We will get tick data for FNO contracts we'll be trading. Okay, now that you guys understand the top view of what we'll be doing, let's get started with coding. Let's create an entry point for our code. That is, if name is equal to main, and I'll create a main function here. Let's add a main function. Inside the main function, I'll copy pasted the code to log into Finvasia and get session token and create a global API instance. As I've already made a video on this, I won't be explaining more here. You guys can check out the video by clicking on the top right link. The squiggly lines we see here are because we haven't imported those packages inside our project yet. Let's fix these errors one by one. We'll first import Noren API, then we'll import logging. As you guys can see, as soon as I import the packages, the error or the squiggly lines which were related to that package are gone. Then we'll import credentials as keys. Let's look at what are the credentials we need. We need user ID, password, TOTP token, Finvasia API key, vendor code, and IMEI. I believe all the credentials will be available in Prism website of Finvasia. Now let's import PyOTP. This is all we require as of now. We'll import more packages when we need them. We have successfully completed the first part of flowchart. Now let's look at how we can download Finvasia FNO contracts in CSV format from Finvasia link. We'll create a file named const.py to store static values like URLs and file names and many more. This keeps our code cleaner and makes updates easier since we only need to change data in one place. For example, we'll store the URL for downloading the FNO contracts and the name of the file where the data will be saved. To get the URL, we'll refer the Finvasia's Python documentation. Here, we'll copy the NFO symbols URL and paste it in our code. For the file name, we'll just copy nfo symbols.txt.zip and paste it. We'll come back to our code. Now let's import the const file we created, const as const. In our main script, the code under if name is equal to main will handle tasks that need to happen when the program runs, such as downloading the FNO contracts. This is a good place for the logic because it ensures these actions only run when the script is executed direct. So we'll say file URL, we'll import the file URL, that is const.finvasia FNO URL, and we'll also get the name, that is file name is equal to const.save zip file name. After this, we'll create a function called download file and we'll pass in our file URL and our file name. Now let's code this download file function. The function will be def download file and we'll pass in URL and file name. Inside this, we'll say response is equal to request.get URL. We need to import request library as this is responsible for making the API call to get the URL. After this, if the response code is 200, we'll open the file name which we created and we'll store all the data in that file. If there is any error, we'll raise an exception. Once the download file function is run, it will actually download the .zip file. To extract the .zip file into .txt file, we need to write two more lines of code which looks like this. And here we need to import zip file package which actually helps us extract the .zip into .txt file. Import zip file. After this, let's run our code once and see if everything is working fine. Once our code is run, it should create two files. One is .zip and the other one is the extracted file in the .txt format. Let's run the code. I'll open a new terminal and type python3 stat.py. If you guys are using Windows, it's just python stat.py. When I click enter, I can see my print statement is logged with my session token, and two more files are created. One is .zip file and one is .txt. Let's go ahead and see what is there in this NFO symbols. We have multiple data like exchange token, lot size, trading symbol, and this file consists of all the contracts, all the NFO contracts that are tradable. We are done with the second part of our flow. Let's dive into a third part now, getting strikes and trading symbol. Why are we doing this step? It's simple. When we subscribe to a WebSocket, we don't want to overwhelm it by subscribing to all the contracts. Instead, we'll only focus on contracts we actually need. To do that, we first need to identify the relevant strikes. For example, if we are looking at the option chain, we are interested only in this week's contract. We can narrow it down further. Let's say we decide to subscribe to strikes within 1500 points away from ATM for both call and put. However, instead of starting directly from the ATM, we can slightly take a safer approach and begin from 300 points ITM. This way, if the market moves unexpectedly, we'll still have all the data we need. Once we have picked out these strikes, the next step is to convert them into trading symbols. Now, if you look at how trading symbols is structured, it's a combination of several data points. Let's take a moment to break that down so we understand what goes into building one. We'll come back to our code and let's go to NFO symbols, and I'll select a Nifty contract. Let me paste it here. Let me break this contract down. So it'd be Nifty 30, Jan 25, P, and the strike price. If you can see here, Nifty is the underlying, 30 is the date, Jan is the month, 25 is the year, and P is put. Similarly, C means call, and the strike price. Finally, once we have got our trading symbols, it's super easy to fetch the corresponding tokens. What do I mean by this? If you go back to our contracts, and if you see here, after NFO, the number we see, this is the token. And this token is necessary for us to subscribe to WebSocket. Okay, let's go the third part now. After the print statement, I'll write the code to get the Nifty LTP. I'll create a variable called Nifty LTP. I'll create a new function to get the LTP of any contract. So here we'll pass the exchange. Instead of this, we'll actually go to const and create a new variable called exchange NSE is equal to NSE, and we'll say Nifty is equal to Nifty index. We'll come back to our code. Here we'll just pass const dot exchange NSE and const dot nifty. Let's go ahead and create this function, and this will accept exchange and index. We'll create a try except block. Inside a try block, I'll say script is equal to API dot search script. This is the API method to search the script and get the LTP, and we'll get different data points. Let's go to our API documentation and see search script. Here the response will get exchange, token, and trading symbol. So search script, and we'll pass exchange as exchange, search text as index. After this, we need to extract the token from our response. It will be script values, and we have to access the first one, and we'll get the token, and we'll return API.get code, which will actually return the LTP, and we'll say exchange is equal to exchange, comma, token is equal to token. If let's say there's an index error, we'll print this error message. If there is any other exception as E, we'll print this message. Okay, we are done with this. After getting the Nifty LTP, we want to get the ATM strike of Nifty, which is the LTP should be rounded to 50s. So we'll create one more function called as get ATM Nifty, which will return the ATM strike. We'll pass LTP, that is our variable, and we'll access the LP def, the function name, which will accept the price. Here I'll just return round load price slash by 50. This is to get the 50 points strikes into 50. We're done with that. After we get the ATM price, let's print it out to check if the code is working fine till this part. Let's say log and ATM strike, and we'll print the ATM strike. Okay, let's write another function called generate and get strikes, and we'll pass this ATM strike. Let's write this function now. I'll come here, I'll say def the function name, and this will accept the original strike. Here we'll create some variables called C strikes, P strikes, C symbol list, and P symbol list, and we'll import this inside our function. Let's say C strikes, P strikes, C symbol list, and P symbol list. Okay, now we'll say adjusted C is equal to original strike minus 300. What are we doing here? If you see at the option chain, the current strike is at 24,150. We want to get 300 points ITM of call. That means we need to subtract 24,150 minus 300, which will come around 23,850, I guess. We'll do the same thing for put. We'll say adjusted PE is equal to original strike plus 300. Okay, after this we'll say C strikes is equal to adjust a C plus I for I in range 0 to 1501. So we actually go till 1500 and in the interval of 50s. We'll copy this line and we'll just do the same thing for P strikes. Here the only change is instead of plus we are actually making it minus, and now CE symbol list is equal to F. We need to construct the nifty trading symbol we saw earlier. So here the first thing which will come is underline and the next thing is expiry date. So we'll go to const, we'll create expiry date variable. Date is equal to the current expiry date for nifty is 05. The next thing we need is expiry month. Current expiry month is December. That's all we need. Let's go back to our code. We'll say const dot expiry date. After this it's const dot expiry month. After this we'll say 24 call, that means C, and we'll get the CE strike for CE strike in CE strikes. This will loop through the list of all the CE strikes and it will append all the nifty trading symbols into the new list called CE symbol list. We'll do the same thing for put. Now let's format this code. That looks good. After this we'll return the C symbol list and P symbol list. Now we'll print the C symbol list and P symbol list here to understand what we have actually done. So let's go on top of our main function and we'll say global C symbol list. By this way we'll be able to access this list inside our main function, and we'll also say P symbol list. Let's print these two. Now let me run this code and we'll see the print of both C and P symbol list. Okay, if you guys can see, we have all the nifty contracts, both CE and PE. Now we can use this nifty contracts to loop through our list and get the corresponding tokens. Here let's write a function to do that. We'll say token lookup and we'll import the pandas. We'll say import pandas as PD. Here we'll pass PD dot read CSV and we'll go to our const. We'll say open NFO file and we'll actually type this in underscore symbols dot txt and open NFO file. After this we'll pass in C symbol list and P symbol list. Now let's write up this function. We'll come back here. We'll say def token lookup and this will accept instrument df and C symbol list and P symbol list. We'll create two more variables called C token list and P token list. Let's create this variables CE token list and P token list. Come back to our function. Here we'll loop through our CE symbol list and we'll say token series is equal to instrument df and instrument df trading symbol, which will be on top of a contract. We'll see the trading symbol. So we are accessing this trading symbol is equal to symbol token. If we don't have that trading symbol, we'll say series dot empty. We'll say token. If the token is not empty, we'll say token is equal to int. Basically at the first this token will actually be in string format, so we want to confirm that it is in int format and say token series dot ilog 0. We'll get the first one and CE symbol list dot append the token, else we'll print a statement which says token not found. We'll do the same thing for put, so I'll just complete this code. After this we'll return the CE token list and PE token list. Okay, now token lookup is done. Now in our main function let's import this two, CE token list and P token list. Let's now once print both C token list and P token list and see what's showing up. So I'll print the C token list, I'll print the P token list. Let me run the program. Once the program is run, we can see two lists that contains C token and P token. Let's copy a token and check if that exists in our NFO symbols. I'll search, I'll paste the code. We have a nifty contract. Similarly, all the tokens we see here represent a nifty contract. Now we are done with the third part of our flow. The final part is to use these tokens and subscribe to the WebSocket. To set up our WebSocket, let's refer the Shoonya API documentation. If we come to the GitHub page, we see a code to set up the WebSocket. Let's copy this code and let's come back to our code and paste it. Let's fix this indentation and I'm pasting this inside our main function. The feed open variable should be declared at the top. So I'll cut this. I'll go to the top and paste it. After this, we see an error. It is event handler order update. This is event handler feed update. We have to create one more function, which should be here. Yes, let's copy this function, come back to our code and paste it here. Fix the indentation. Now the error is gone. What's happening here is we have two functions, which is event handler order update and event handler feed update. So whatever the token we subscribe in a WebSocket, all the data will be sent to this function, and whatever order updates are there will be sent to this function, which is event handler order update. Now the open callback refers to a feed open variable, which is initialized as false at the beginning, and once our WebSocket is initialized, this variable is set to true. That means it indicates that our WebSocket is opened and running successfully. Once that is done, here in the example we can see API subscribe, which actually has an hard-coded value. Here we'll be sending whatever the tokens we got inside this method. Basically, if you see, token is designed in such a way, first will be the underlying, which is NSE. In our case, it's an NFO. Same in the case, if you want to do Sensex, it's BFO. We'll only have one API subscribe method. After this, if you can remember, we got our tokens only in digit format. Now we have to convert them to something which looks like this, NFO and the number, which is 56 some number, right? So we'll write a small function here at the top. I'll write a small function called token subscribe CE, which is a list, and it contains the prefix and the strike, which we'll get from looping through CE token list. We'll do the same thing for PE. Once it's done, what we'll do is we'll concatenate these both. We'll say total token subscribe, and we'll just add call input. Okay, we'll pass this variable inside our subscribe method. Our subscription to WebSocket is done. To see how our data is coming, we should create a while loop. We'll say while true. We'll just say time.sleep. Let's give it 2 seconds. We'll import the time library, import time. Why we need this while loop is once our program is run, even though we subscribe to our WebSocket, we want the program to run in the loop to see the tick data getting printed. Now let's run the program once. Okay. If you guys can see, we are getting all the tick data. Let me copy one, and if I paste it inside the code, we are getting all the information from the tick data. We are getting trading symbol. We are getting last price. We are getting OHLCV data. In the next part of our video, we'll see how we can process this data and save it inside an object. We can use that data to trade. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. If you like the content, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next video.